So Forex, as all I said, is shit. Money is shit. Everything is shit. Only the value that is provided by money is good, or it is worth. Everything else is shit. Everything else is paper. They put it on a button and they make you run for it. That's what is happening till today. So now I don't want you to run behind it. I want you to make it like they make it, through thin air. I want you to make it with digitally and make it possible that the financial stability at a very, very young age is possible. So we stopped on how leverage was working, and I hope you all understand, or if you haven't understand, you can just comment or just text me in Instagram. So now I'll tell you how to analyze the chart. It is basically of two segments, like the fundamental analysis and the technical analysis. Technical analysis, as the term says, it is basically some terms that is used to observe, or it is the chart patterns are named as some terms. So if you basically know all those, you can crack the pattern and just make money. And the fundamental analysis is basically something that you find with the economic calendars, newses, and everything depends on what you're trading. And if you're trading currency, and if you see something on the news that is dependent on currency, like something like inflation is coming in this country, so the country which have the currency you have trading will be going down. That's what happens. So I hope you all understand that. And I told you that it is nothing called a shame or anything. Don't be a coward. Like if you have a doubt and don't ask it, you just live with a doubt. What the fuck, bro? Just ask, clear it out, do what is possible. This is basically some shit. And the first thing I'm gonna say is the support and resistance line. Support and resistance lines are the two lines. Imagine like that. It is basically, imagine 3 points on a chart. Name it A, B, C. And if the graph is going up and stopping at that point, which is called A, and comes down to some point B, and comes down again to some point called C. So the point A that is on top is called the resistance, and point C, which is at the bottom, is called the support, because it is only called resistance and support when it shows a common pattern. Like when the point A is on the same level for at least 3 or 4 times, and like the point C. So one goes up and stops at a point at a several amount of times, you call it the resistance. And one goes down and stops at a point, it's for a several amount of time, is called the support line, because at that point it is resisted to not go up, and at this point it is support, it doesn't go down. And this is happening because the trader have set a point, and the buyers are not willing to buy their stock at that point. It is basically shit. It doesn't happen like that. It is all just manipulated by the banks or centrally owned banks. It literally happens like how they say, the buyer and seller thing. But there is something on top. There is something called, it is all being controlled by the bank. I'll tell you afterwards. And I'll tell you something, which is something called a tip. The traders or the person who puts the price basically puts on a round number. So if you see a wrong number going more than once, just lock it, set, enter a trade, and just enter your stop loss at some point, and you can earn some money. That's some basic shit in this. So look for round numbers, which happens again and again, and don't just look for any round numbers. Just think about the thing you're purchasing, or the previous prices, the everything that you study in cost analysis, data finding, and all those things. Just think that if that money is worth that thing, just think it like that. And observing the previous chart is also important. Take care, think carefully, and do your best. There's a high risk of losing money too. If you are stupid enough, you will lose a lot of money. So if you're good enough, you lose less money. And I'll just put the chart pattern, here, and so you can see it. I hope most of you might have seen this, because the trading thing is going all around the world. Some of you might have had a glance of this, I'm sure of it. So let's say the growth of some currency thing. It is basically, so in GDP growth, which is basically, you can see in news and all those things. And if you're someone who trades the currency, let's say USD and Canadian dollar, and if the news have predicted the forecast as 0.1% to 0.6%, which is USD, and CAD, which is Canadian dollar, and the other one is US dollars, which is shit. And the one I said is the forecast 0.1 and 0.6, and the actual is 0.4 and 0.4 itself. So USD is 0.4 and CAD is 0.4. And let's say if the forecast have gone right, where the USD have gone 0.3% away from the actual, so the GDP grows, and Canadian dollar have gone down, which is 0.6, which is basically a worse GDP. So that's how it happens. That's how news actually impact a currency rate. And there is something called the 9 indicators, which is basically something very long, and I hope I'll make another section and I'll make another video for that. So I'll just stop here, and all I want you to understand is that it's all been manipulated. It's not only by the thing is, actually some things are happening. You know, the people say that selling is happening, buying is happening, traders are talking to buy things, buy shits, and the people are buying, the people are selling. All these things are happening, but above these things, that's not the end. Above these things, there is something called the manipulation done by the banks to control all the system, and it doesn't end there. The banks are being controlled by the people who own the stocks in Forex, or the main thing in Forex. If you haven't heard of the Blackstone, just refer it, and we'll just talk about it in another video after the session. So until then, stay out.